Belief is where it all begins. Before you even take a single step toward the life you want, there has to be belief. Not in the outcome, but in you. You've got to believe that you can do it, that you're worthy of doing it, that the person you are today has the potential to become something much more. You can borrow someone else's car, you can borrow their tools, but you cannot borrow their belief. That's something you must develop and strengthen yourself. See, belief is the foundation of all achievement. Without it, your efforts are half-hearted. Your vision is cloudy, and your energy fades at the first sign of difficulty. But when you believe deep down in your soul that you're capable, worthy, and equipped to do great things, something extraordinary happens. The mind gets creative. The heart becomes bold. You stop waiting for perfect timing and start making the timing perfect. And belief doesn't show up because everything is working. It shows up so you can make things work. You've got to believe even before there's proof. That's the hard part. When the bank account's low, the results are few, and the motivation is shaky. That's when belief must rise. Because belief isn't based on what is, it's based on what can be if you're willing to stay the course. I remember early in my career when I was broke and discouraged. I didn't have results, but I had something more powerful. I had a spark of belief, just a little at first, but I fed it. I listened to those who encouraged growth. I distanced myself from complainers and quitters. I read, I worked, and I spoke to myself with respect. And over time, that little spark turned into conviction. That belief is what carried me through the winters of my life. Your belief will be tested. Life will throw challenges at you to ask the question, do you really think you've got what it takes? And when that moment comes, your answer must be yes, not because you're perfect, not because you know everything, but because you trust yourself enough to figure it out. That's belief. Belief creates a kind of inner fire that changes how you show up. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with more clarity. You don't shrink from opportunities, you seek them. You stop asking for permission and start preparing for progress. And the world senses it. People are drawn to those who believe in themselves because belief is contagious. It radiates. It sets a standard. When you believe in yourself, others are more likely to believe in you too. But don't confuse belief with arrogance. Arrogance says, I'm better than you. But belief says, I'm better than I used to be, and I'm not done yet. One repels people, the other inspires them. The best kind of belief is humble. It acknowledges that there's more to learn, more to become, and more to give. Now, belief is like a muscle. It grows through repetition and resistance. Every time you face doubt and move forward anyway, your belief gets stronger. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, belief becomes more real. And every time you push past fear, you prove to your own mind that you are stronger than the voices trying to hold you back. If there's one thing you should invest in above all else, it's building this belief. Not by waiting until everything looks right, but by becoming the kind of person who creates the right conditions. That's where it starts. That's where it always starts. Because success doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to character, to action, and to belief that says, I may not be there yet, but I am on my way. And once you believe that, the journey truly begins. If you're waiting for a guarantee before you act, you're going to be waiting a long time. That's not how life works. The door to success doesn't swing open for those who wait. It opens for those who knock and sometimes kick it down with boldness. See, the price of any meaningful reward is always paid in advance, and it's paid in risk. Now, I'm not talking about foolishness. I'm not talking about gambling everything without thought or preparation. I'm talking about calculated courage, the kind of risk where you've studied, prepared, developed your character, and now you take the leap. Because if you want to experience a life that's beyond average, you can't play it safe like the average. Risk is what separates dreamers from doers. It's easy to sit around and think big. Anybody can do that. But to walk out into the arena, to expose your work, your ideas, your effort, that takes guts. That takes belief, and most importantly, that takes understanding that failure is part of the payment plan. People ask, but what if I fail? And I say, that's part of the process. You will fail sometime. But let me tell you, you can survive failure. You just can't survive regret. It's not the risk that destroys people, it's the not trying. It's the wondering 20 years from now what could have happened if they had just stepped up and said yes. That's the real danger. When I first stepped into business, I was afraid too. I didn't have a track record. I didn't come from wealth. But I knew one thing. If I wanted to change my life, I had to do something I'd never done before. And that meant risk. That meant talking to people who might say no. That meant long hours and no guarantees. But I also knew that if I didn't risk it, I was guaranteed to stay stuck, and that was a far worse price. Every breakthrough in your life is sitting on the other side of a risk. Every promotion, every relationship, every new opportunity, none of it comes without stepping into the unknown. And here's the beauty. The more risks you take with courage and intention, the stronger you become. You build a kind of inner resilience that no comfort zone can offer you. You've got to learn how to lean into discomfort. That's where growth lives. That's where transformation happens. It's in the risk that you discover your real potential. You won't find out what you're made of while sitting on the sidelines. You only learn that on the field, in the game, when the pressure's on and the lights are bright. And let me say this clearly, wealth responds to boldness, not recklessness, but boldness. People who create financial success are willing to make decisions, take chances, move forward, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. They understand that discipline, preparation, and courage, when mixed together, make a powerful force. I've met talented people who never rise, not because they don't have the skills, but because they never bet on themselves. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect plan. And life passes them by. The clock doesn't stop while you hesitate. You've got to be willing to take the shot. Remember, you don't need absolute certainty to move forward. You just need enough belief to take the next step, one step. That's how momentum begins. That's how destiny is built. So if you've got a vision, if you've got a goal, understand this. Risk is the toll booth on the road to your future. You can't avoid it, but you can prepare for it, walk through it, and become stronger because of it. And when you do, you'll find the reward was worth every ounce of courage it took to get there. You've got to set goals that stretch you, goals that pull something out of you that comfort never could. See, the problem with most people isn't that they aim too high and miss. No, it's that they aim too low and hit. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, unfulfilled, restless. It's because they've traded challenge for convenience. Let me tell you, growth lives in discomfort. If your goals don't make you a little nervous, if they don't cause your hands to sweat or your heart to beat faster, then they're not doing their job. Goals aren't just meant to give you something to chase, they're meant to transform you in the chase. When I first started setting real goals for my life, I realized how small I'd been thinking. I used to think survival was a goal, just enough to get by, to pay the bills, to be comfortable. But comfort, my friend, is a silent thief. It robs you of ambition, of energy, of vision. It makes you settle for what is instead of reaching for what could be. Then I learned to stretch. I started setting goals that required me to change who I was, goals that required better habits, greater discipline, sharper thinking, goals that weren't just about acquiring things, but about becoming someone new in the process. And that's where the real magic is. It's not about the car, the house, or the bank account. It's about the kind of person you must become to earn them. You've got to look at your goals and ask, does this challenge me? Does it make me rise earlier, think deeper, act bolder? Or am I just checking boxes and calling it ambition? There's an old saying, if you want something you've never had, you've got to become someone you've never been. That's what stretching goals do. They don't just ask for more effort, they demand more belief. They force you to confront your doubts, to push through fear, to keep moving even when the finish line feels far away. Now, I'm not saying you should set goals so outrageous that they overwhelm you into paralysis. No, I'm saying you should find that edge, the place where excitement meets uncertainty. That's where transformation happens. That's where belief becomes power. Think about the caterpillar. It doesn't become a butterfly by staying safe in the grass. No, it crawls into the cocoon where everything comfortable is stripped away. Then it struggles, stretches, fights its way into something beautiful. That's what powerful goals do. They break the shell of who you've been and force the emergence of who you're meant to become. Don't set goals that only maintain your life. Set goals that remake it. I remember a time when I wrote down a goal so big I almost tore the page out. It scared me, not because it was impossible, but because I knew deep down it was possible. If I changed, if I grew, if I stretched. That goal was the spark. It pulled me through early mornings, long nights, countless failures. But I wouldn't trade the person I became chasing that goal for anything. And let me tell you something else. When you achieve a big goal, you don't go back to thinking small. Your perspective expands. Your standard rises. You begin to expect more from yourself. And once you taste that kind of growth, nothing else satisfies. So stretch. Don't set goals that just make your life easier. Set goals that make your life better. Set goals that put your talents to work, that make your mind sweat, that pull greatness out of you inch by inch. And if it feels uncomfortable, good. That's how you know it's working. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become chasing it. Risk. Now, there's a word that makes most people tighten up. For some, it's like standing too close to the edge of a cliff. But let me tell you something, risk is not the enemy. In fact, risk is a friend, a teacher, a bridge to your next level. Most people treat it like it's something to run from. But if you want to grow, you've got to turn and face it. Risk isn't the price of failure. It's the price of growth. See, safety feels good. It gives you the illusion of control. But have you ever noticed how little grows in a safe place? Gardens don't grow in concrete. They grow where the soil is turned, where the elements hit hard, where things break before they bloom. And that's how life works too. When I look back on my own life, every significant breakthrough I had came wrapped in a layer of uncertainty. The day I decided to bet on myself, to speak, to teach, to build something bigger than the paycheck, I had no guarantees. There were no perfect conditions, no step-by-step instruction manual. There was only the choice, stay where it's safe or step into the unknown and see what I'm truly made of. Most people wait for risk to go away before they act. But by the time the coast is clear, so is the opportunity. That's the tricky part. Most of what you want in life is just on the other side of your comfort zone. And risk? That's the toll gate you've got to pass through to get there. Now, I'm not saying to gamble blindly. There's a difference between risk and recklessness. Calculated risk, wise risk. That's what moves you forward. It's not about throwing caution to the wind. It's about doing your homework, checking your gut, and then having the courage to leap. You've got to believe in your own ability to figure things out. That belief gives you the courage to step into risk. When you trust your capacity to learn, adapt, and grow, risk becomes less of a threat and more of a tool. It becomes the gym where your character is built. Every stretch, every stumble, every step out of your comfort zone adds muscle to your belief. Think about the people you admire, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators. Do you think they got where they are by avoiding risk? No. They got there by leaning into it. They were willing to place a bet on their ideas, on their efforts, on their vision. And more than anything, they bet on themselves. That's the defining trait of successful people. Not luck, not genius, belief. They believed they had something to offer. They believed they could learn what they didn't know. They believed their dreams were worth the price of discomfort. And they knew that playing it safe was the surest way to live a small life. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? Well, here's a better question. What if you never try? What if the life you were meant to live is just sitting there, behind a door you're too afraid to open? Isn't that the greater risk? Failure is not the end. It's information, it's feedback, it's redirection, it's the curriculum of success. But you only get access to those lessons if you're willing to take the leap. So start looking at risk with new eyes. Don't see it as something that threatens your comfort. See it as something that confirms your belief. Each time you embrace risk, you're saying, I trust myself more than I fear the unknown. And that, my friend, is power. One of the most overlooked influences on belief is the company we keep. You can plant the best seeds of self-confidence, water them with discipline, shine a light of vision upon them, and yet, if your environment is filled with poison, those seeds won't grow. It's not always your strategy that's failing. Sometimes it's your surroundings. Guard your inner circle, I mean that. Because the people you allow close to you, those voices you listen to, those faces you see every day, They're either adding bricks to the foundation of your belief, or they're slowly chipping away at it. And most of the time, it doesn't happen in loud, obvious ways. It happens in subtle moments. A sigh when you talk about a dream, a smirk when you share a goal, a sarcastic "good luck with that" that plants just enough doubt to make you second-guess yourself. Now, I've been there. Early in my career, I had people around me who were stuck. Not bad people, not evil, just stuck. And the problem with stuck people is they want company. They're not looking to climb. They're looking for someone to sit beside them and complain about the view. But I made a decision. I said, if I want to fly, I can't keep tying myself to anchors. And it wasn't easy. It meant having fewer conversations. It meant letting go of some old associations that didn't serve the future I was trying to build. But when I started to surround myself with people who believed in personal growth, who believed in goals, who believed in lifting others, everything changed. My energy changed. My thinking changed. And eventually my results changed. Your environment matters more than you think. You're not just living in it, you're absorbing it. If you hang around people who see obstacles in every opportunity, guess what you'll start to see? But if you spend time with those who see possibility, even in problems, you'll begin to think the same way. You need builders in your life. People who don't just tolerate your ambition, they fuel it. People who hear your vision and say, yes, and what's next? Instead of, why would you want to do that? The right people don't make your dreams smaller, they expand it. They challenge you to be bolder, not safer. And that challenge, that accountability, becomes a source of belief when yours begins to waver. Now here's the catch. You attract those kind of people by becoming one of them. It's not about chasing successful connections, it's about becoming someone who naturally attracts success-minded people. When you're disciplined, intentional, focused, you become magnetic to others on the same journey. Like-minded people don't find each other by accident. They recognize each other by action. So start building a better inner circle by being a better inner circle. Be the encourager. Be the goal setter. Be the one who says, let's do more. Let's grow more. You don't need a crowd. You need a few strong voices in your life who help you stay clear, stay hungry, stay believing. And if you don't have that circle yet, don't panic. You can create it. Books can be mentors. Recordings can be company. Events can connect you with people who are climbing just like you. But don't stay in a space where your belief is constantly on trial. Protect it like it's sacred, because it is. If your belief is the engine of your future, then your environment is the fuel. And every day you get to choose what you fill your tank with. Fear, doubt, and cynicism, or vision, support, and truth. Guard that choice with everything you've got, because belief doesn't grow in darkness. It grows in light, and in the company of those who help you see the light in yourself. You've probably heard it said before, whatever you feed grows. And let me tell you that truth is as real in the mind as it is in the soil. You've got two competing forces in your head every day, fear and vision. And whichever one you nurture, water, and give attention to, that's the one that's going to shape your decisions, your future, your life. Fear is loud. It doesn't wait to be invited in. It barges through the door with doubt, anxiety, and the worst-case scenario in hand. It shows you what could go wrong. It reminds you of your past failures. It whispers lies about your limits and screams warnings about the unknown. But vision is quieter. It needs time, space, and your commitment to become clear. But once it becomes clear, it becomes powerful. So the question is, which one are you feeding? If you start your day by consuming noise, bad news, gossip, distractions, you're feeding fear. If you surround yourself with people who play it safe, who never bet on themselves, who criticize anyone trying to do better, you're feeding fear. If your self-talk is negative, if your habits are reactive, if you let uncertainty lead, you're feeding fear. But if you wake up and begin with purpose, read something that expands your mind, reflect on where you're going, remind yourself why you started, now you're feeding your vision. If you write down your goals every morning, if you speak positive words over your life, if you study those who have walked the path before you, you are strengthening the roots of belief in your soul. When I was young and broke, I didn't just have money problems, I had vision problems. I couldn't see beyond my situation. But my mentor taught me something powerful. You can't live by fear and still walk in vision. You have to choose. So I started feeding the image of who I could become. I wrote out goals, I read books, I studied successful people. I spoke to myself differently. It didn't happen overnight. But the more I nourished the picture of the man I wanted to be, the weaker the fear became. Your mind is a garden. If you don't deliberately plant flowers, weeds will grow by default. Fear is the default. Vision must be planted. It must be revisited. You have to keep it in front of you, on your wall, on your mirror, on your mind, because life is going to test it. Circumstances will challenge it. Disappointments will try to choke it. And if you're not constantly reinforcing it, you'll drift back into the grip of fear. One of the best ways to feed your vision is with clarity. Be specific about what you want. A vague vision has no power. You can't just say, I want to be successful. That doesn't feed belief, it starves it. Say instead, I want to build a business that earns this much, impacts this many people, and gives me the freedom to live this way. Now your mind has something to focus on. Now your energy knows where to go. The second way is through repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill, and it's also the mother of belief. The more you repeat a truth, the more your subconscious begins to accept it. I wrote my goals so many times, I could see them with my eyes closed. I spoke my future into the present till I started walking like it was already real. That's feeding your vision. The third way is to immerse yourself in stories of people who've done what you want to do. It's why I read biographies. It's why I listened to those who had paid the price of discipline. Because every success story is proof that it's possible. And when you feed on possibility, it starves the fear of impossibility. Let fear be a visitor, not a tenant. Let vision be the one who takes up permanent residence. Because when vision becomes your guide, fear loses its grip. And belief, real, unshakable belief, takes its place. Now, let's talk about doubt. It's a sneaky little thing, isn't it? Doubt doesn't always walk in wearing a big sign. It whispers, it says, what if you fail? Or who do you think you are? It questions your timing, your ability, your worth. But let me tell you something important. Doubt is not the enemy. It's a signal. And if you're wise, you won't let it weaken you. You'll let it sharpen you. You see, when doubt shows up, and it will for every one of us, it's not a cue to shrink back. It's a call to dig deeper. When you start to question whether you can do it, that's your mind inviting you to develop more skill. When you feel unsure, that's your soul telling you to build more discipline. Most people treat doubt like a stop sign, but the people who make it to the top treat it like a yield. They slow down, check their direction, and keep moving forward with more awareness. I remember when I was first asked to speak in front of an audience. Oh, I had doubt. I had plenty of reasons to say no. I wasn't polished. I didn't have fancy degrees. I didn't think I had what it took. But instead of letting that doubt paralyze me, I made a choice. I studied harder, I practiced longer, and I turned my insecurity into preparation. I didn't wait until I felt ready. I disciplined myself into becoming ready. That's the secret. Discipline. When belief is shaky, don't focus on the belief. Focus on the process. The more disciplined your routine, the stronger your confidence becomes. Discipline is belief in action. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you're building trust with yourself. And the more you trust yourself, the less space doubt has to grow. Think about the athlete who trains for the Olympics. Doubt comes to them too, but what do? They don't give in to fear. They double their reps, tighten their technique, focus their mind. Doubt becomes the very reason they train harder. That's what you've got to do. When doubt knocks, don't answer with excuses, answer with effort. Now, here's a truth most won't tell you. You can't eliminate doubt forever. It'll revisit you at every new level. But you can train yourself to respond differently. You can build a reflex. Instead of panic, you go to preparation. Instead of retreat, you tighten your habits. Instead of quitting, you get quiet, reflect, and then recommit. And if you stay with that pattern long enough, something beautiful happens. Doubt loses its power over you. You start to recognize it not as a threat, but as an opportunity. You see, doubt is your indicator that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's exactly where growth lives. I remember being in business meetings with people far more experienced than I was. At first I felt like I didn't belong, but instead of letting that thought take root, I turned it into fuel. I studied the way they talked, how they negotiated, how they thought. I disciplined myself to rise to their level, not shrink to my fear. And eventually I didn't just feel like I belonged, I earned my place. Let doubt be your motivation, not your master. Let it push you to sharpen your tools, not shelve your dreams. Every time you feel unqualified, use that moment to become more qualified. Work on your schedule, strengthen your mind. That's how belief is built. It's not magic, it's momentum born out of discipline. Remember, belief isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, consistent, and rooted in your daily habits. And when doubt shows up next time, don't fight it with feelings. Fight it with action. Let your discipline speak louder than your fear. One of the greatest powers you'll ever hold is the power of your own words. Now, I don't mean the words you say to the world, though those matter too. I mean the words you say to yourself when no one else is around. Those quiet little phrases, whispered in the privacy of your own mind, are shaping your future whether you realize it or not. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Affirm your potential daily. Every morning before the world tries to tell you who you are, tell yourself. Say what you want to become. Say it often. Say it loud. Say it with a little fire in your voice. And say it until your mind begins to believe it. See, belief isn't always born from experience. It's born from repetition. If you tell yourself you're confident, capable, and prepared long enough, eventually your actions will begin to align with those words. I remember a time early in my career when I had very little to show. I didn't have a fancy background, no mountain of credentials, not even a big bank account. But I had a small voice inside me that said, "You're more than your circumstances." So I spoke that belief out loud, before it felt real, before I could prove it. And let me tell you something powerful. The more I said it, the more I showed up like it. Words have a funny way of turning into reality when you speak them often enough. Now, don't misunderstand. Affirmations without action are just noise. You can't just sit in a corner and say, "I am wealthy," and expect the money to fall from the sky. No, what I'm talking about is using affirmations as the fuel for behavior. You affirm your potential not just to feel good, but to do good. You say, "I'm disciplined so that when that lazy voice shows up, it has competition." You say, "I'm courageous so that fear doesn't win the moment." You say, "I'm focused so that distraction doesn't pull you off track." Words create identity, and identity creates consistency. When you tell yourself you're a person of value, you start to treat your time like it matters. You show up differently. You carry yourself with more intention. And little by little, those declarations become decisions, and those decisions build your destiny. I've seen people speak themselves into failure. They wake up and say things like, "I'm not good with money," or "I'll never get a break," or "That's just not who I am." And guess what? The results follow their script. So you've got to write a new script, one that calls you forward, not one that holds you back. You've got to rewire your language before you can redesign your life. Don't wait until you feel successful to say you are. Speak success while you're still building. Speak discipline while you're still wrestling with it. Speak belief while you're still learning how to stand in it. And if you do this daily, faithfully, you'll be amazed at how quickly your outer world begins to reflect your inner one. And remember, this isn't about ego. It's about alignment. It's about bringing your thoughts, your words, and your actions into agreement. When they align, you become unstoppable. You no longer act from insecurity, you act from identity. You're not just chasing success, you're becoming someone who attracts it. So tomorrow morning when you look in the mirror, don't just see what's there. Speak to what's coming. Say, "I'm becoming wiser." Say, "I'm growing stronger." Say, "I'm the kind of person who follows through." Say it until it echoes louder than your excuses. Say it until it drowns out doubt. Say it until your future has no choice but to meet you. Because when you speak belief with consistency, your life will eventually catch up to your word. Let me tell you something. Every great success begins with imagination. You cannot expect to become something you haven't first envisioned. Before you achieve, you must first believe. And before you can truly believe, you need to see it. You need to see yourself in the future as the person you must become. This is where the power of visualization comes in. It's not just about wishful thinking or hoping for the best. It's about creating a crystal clear image in your mind of who you are going to become and what your life will look like when you get there. The clearer your vision, the stronger your belief to make it a reality. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Picture your ideal self in the future. What does that person look like? How do they carry themselves? What do they say? How do they show up every day? What kind of relationships do they have? What kind of results are they producing? Visualize yourself as the person who has accomplished all of their goals and more. See yourself leading, influencing, and living the life you've always dreamed of. If you don't have a vivid picture of your future self, you won't know what you're working toward. It's like driving to an unknown destination without a map. You'll eventually get somewhere, but it won't be anywhere you want to be. And that won't be anywhere you want to be. The clearer the picture of your success, the easier it becomes to stay focused. Your subconscious mind needs to know exactly what it's aiming for. Without a clear vision, your thoughts and actions will wander aimlessly. Think about the athletes you admire. They don't just show up and hope to win. They've already visualized their success over and over. They've imagined themselves crossing that finish line, making that perfect shot, or lifting that trophy, and that vision has shaped their training, their behavior, and ultimately their results. Success doesn't just happen by chance. It happens because someone has already decided in their mind that it will. The same goes for you. When you visualize yourself as the successful, confident, and disciplined person you want to be, you begin to act like that person. You start taking actions that align with the person you're becoming. You start making decisions as if you've already achieved your goals. It's no longer a matter of whether you will succeed or not. It's a matter of when. The person you envision is already walking the path to greatness, and you're walking right alongside them. You've heard the saying, what you think about, you bring about. Well, it's true, but it's not just about thinking. It's about immersing yourself in the vision, feeling it, living it, in your mind long before it appears in your reality. Visualizing who you must become strengthens your belief, fortifies your resolve, and fuels your daily actions. Now, this process doesn't happen overnight. It's something you have to practice. Start every day by closing your eyes for a few minutes and visualizing your future. What will you accomplish? What kind of person do you need to be to get there? What do they do every day? What are they thinking? What are they focused on? As you do this, something remarkable begins to happen. Your mindset shifts. You start to believe that the person you're seeing in your mind's eye is not some distant possibility, but a reality waiting to unfold. And once you believe it's real, you'll be motivated to take action that supports your vision. When you make decisions that align with your vision of the future, success becomes inevitable. This is not just some motivational fluff. It's a proven principle that high achievers have used throughout history. They've seen their future success long before it materialized. They've built the person they wanted to become in their mind first, and then they went out and made it happen. But visualization is not just about seeing the outcome. It's about embodying the process. When you visualize, you're not just focusing on the end goal. You're seeing the small steps, the daily efforts, the discipline, and the determination that will get you there. You see yourself overcoming challenges, learning from mistakes, and getting stronger with every step. This process fuels your commitment and allows you to overcome obstacles that might otherwise derail you. It's about thinking beyond what's in front of you today. It's about dreaming about tomorrow, visualizing yourself taking the actions that will shape your future. And when you do this consistently, you begin to think like the person who already has what you want. You act with purpose, not by chance. You make choices that align with your highest self. And little by little, you'll close the gap between where you are now and where you visualize yourself being. So, take time today and every day to visualize the person you must become. Don't just see it. Live it in your mind. Make it so vivid, so real that it becomes impossible for your mind to deny its existence. When you do that, you won't just be wishing for success. You'll be walking in it. Faith in yourself is not something you have on a good day or when everything is going perfectly. It's not a passing feeling that comes and goes with the tides of circumstance. No, belief is a decision, a choice that you make every single day. And it's the consistency of that choice that will determine your success. If you wait until you feel like you believe in yourself, you'll be waiting forever. Belief is not a mood, it's a practice. And just like any other habit, the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. When I say belief, I mean a deep, unwavering confidence that you are capable of achieving whatever you set out to do, regardless of the circumstances. The world will test you, people will doubt you, life will challenge you, but none of that changes who you are or what you can do unless you let it. You can choose at any moment to pick yourself back up, to dust off the doubts, and to step forward with that quiet but powerful conviction that your success is inevitable. Here's where many people get it wrong. They think that faith in themselves is something that will come when things start working out. They think that once they see progress, their belief will naturally follow. But the truth is, the belief must come first. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. You must decide, even before you see the results, that you are worthy of success and capable of achieving it. You don't wait for the world to confirm it. You choose to believe in yourself regardless of what you see in front of you. This isn't just about having a positive attitude or chanting affirmations. It's about a daily commitment to trusting yourself, even when the evidence seems to say otherwise. If you wait for perfect conditions to believe in yourself, you'll be waiting forever. Life doesn't hand us smooth roads to success. There will be detours, bumps, and even some flat-out roadblocks along the way. But it's how you respond to those challenges that shapes the outcome. When things don't go as planned, when you hit a failure, or when you feel like you're standing alone, that's when your belief is truly tested. It's in those moments that you must remind yourself, I am capable of more than this. I can overcome this. This is not the end of the road, it's just another lesson on the way to my goal. And that's where the magic happens. The more you practice faith in yourself in those tough moments, the stronger that belief becomes. It's easy to have belief when things are going well, but the real work is in staying committed to your belief when everything seems to be falling apart. Faith in yourself isn't a fair-weather friend. It's the kind of friend who stays by your side when things get tough, when the odds seem stacked against you, and when everyone else might doubt you. And believe me, in those moments, that's when faith really counts. It's the deciding factor between those who give up and those who push through. It's the reason why some people succeed despite the odds and others fall short. You see, every successful person has had to make that decision to believe in themselves, not just when things are easy, but especially when things are difficult. It's easy to believe in your potential when you're on the top of the mountain, but it's the people who believe in their worth and their abilities when they're in the valley that make it to the summit. That's what separates the doers from the dreamers. Belief in yourself is not a feeling you have, it's a habit you cultivate. When you make belief in yourself a daily practice, you build mental and emotional muscle. Just like any habit, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. And the more consistent you are with that practice, the more you'll see the results. You'll begin to attract the opportunities, the people, and the circumstances that align with that belief. Faith in yourself must be a daily decision. When you wake up in the morning, decide to believe in your potential. When challenges arise, decide to trust in your ability to overcome them. When failure strikes, decide that you will learn from it and keep moving forward. Don't wait for a moment of inspiration to believe in yourself. Decide right now, right in this moment, that you are worthy of success and capable of achieving it. If you make belief a discipline, if you make it a daily practice, success will begin to chase you. The results won't be immediate, but they will come. They always do. And when they do, you'll look back and realize that it was your unwavering commitment to faith in yourself that made it all possible. So choose to believe today, choose to believe tomorrow, choose to believe every day after that, and watch your life unfold in ways you never imagined. Believe in yourself, and the world will believe in you too.